It's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parashat Tavo, the wide lens. I want to thank Cindy and Joe Weinstein, Dr. Joe Weinstein, for sponsoring today's webcast. We have an interesting law that sort of tells a story. It tells the story of a farmer who brings his first fruits to the temple, places them down. He says, look, I've arrived at the land that God has given me. And then he has to make a declaration. What does he say? Does he just say, thank you, God, for the fruit? Thank you, God, for the land of Israel? No, he says much more. He goes back to Abraham or Laban or Jacob, and he says, no, my father was a wandering Aramean, or Laban tried to destroy my father, or my father was working with Laban the Aramean, and he went down to Egypt. So in other words, and then he went down to Egypt, and then we were slaves, and then God took us out of slavery, and then he brought us to this place, and now I've brought my fruits. So in telling the story of Thanksgiving, in order to tell the story, he needs to broaden his lens. Who was my father, my ancestor? What is my history? What is my story? What were the ups and the downs that led to where I am today? That's Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not saying, hey, it's great, I'm rich today. The question is, how poor were you yesterday? The question is, who gave you your first dollar? Who gave you your first job? Where was your first failure before you made it big? That's the question. And now we can understand something. When you look in the Hallel, songs of supposed Thanksgiving, the greatest, happiest days in the Jewish calendar, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkos, we say, Hanukkah, we sing the songs of Hallel. And what do we say there? Afafuni chevle mavet. Mitzarei sha'ol mitzaoni. I was in the straits of the depths. I called out to God from the depths. Kol goyim svavuni, all the nations surrounded me. I said, wait a second. Is this supposed to be for a happy holiday? What are we doing here? Why are we talking about straits and what he was thinking when he was in his haste? What is going on here? What kind of Thanksgiving is this? We're talking about all the troubles he had and all the troubles that surrounded him, the people who surrounded him. But no. The idea is that where I am today, I've been saved. I've been saved from all the troubles and all the enemies around me. I have to remember it. Thanksgiving means to look back at the days when things weren't going so smoothly. If you look at the Mizmor Shir Chanukah Bayil David, the song of Psalm 30, the song of the Thanksgiving for the dedication of the temple, it's some sort of praise. Hashem Elokai Lamadech, I'll praise you forever. And what do we say? You took me down from the depths. Chitani miradi bor, you helped me live rather than go down to the pit. In other words, if you don't remember the trials and travails, the prayers that you made to get your salvation and the salvation that then came, then you haven't said Thanksgiving at all. They're all part of my Thanksgiving today, the ups and the downs. Thanksgiving is not, oh, how sweet it is. Look, I'm here on the beach and everything's great. The sunny days, how beautiful it is. No, it's the journey. How did you get there? What did you have to do to earn that? That's what makes you thankful. That's what does it. And the rabbis put it in their words, they said, if you're looking on Pesach to tell the story of your salvation on Pesach, you got to go to this story, because this story's got the key ingredient. What's that? It starts off with something bad. My father was wandering, or Laban was trying to kill me. The Egyptians afflicted me. They gave me difficult work. That's the way you tell a story. And then you came to this special place, to the land of Israel. God took us out with great wonders. But you have to start with the genut. You have to start with the derogatory, something sad, something bad that happened. To what depths had you fallen such that you're now back up on the top of the mountain? And also, who brought me there? When we talk about widening the lens, we're not just talking about widening the historical lens, but the lens of appreciation of those who came before. Whether they were really good, bad, or indifferent, these are the people who brought you to where you are today. Maybe your father was very poor and you had great, you were in the depths because you had a lot of difficulties. Maybe somehow he disappeared from your life and now you came to where you are. But whatever happened with your father, your grandfather, your ancestors, that's what brought you to where you are today. That's why that's why this week's parsha says, cursed is the one who makes light of, who curses his parents, his father, his mother. Why? Because there is a tendency, especially as Americans, we're rugged individualism, right? I'm a self-made man. I don't need anybody. Comes honoring the father and mother and says, no, don't leave them behind. You say, yeah, but I'm a big shot. My parents were just, they were, no. How did you get to where you were today? They got you started, if not simply genetically, then by raising you properly. So we have to honor our parents. What does that mean? To honor the people who brought us to where we are today. I'm not just a tabula rasa, blank slate. I was written on by my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents. We are the product of those who came before. And that's why we begin our davening every time. Oh, sure, I'm a great guy. I can approach God too. But no, we approach God on the basis of the existing relationship we have with God based on Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You widen the lens. In order to be thankful, to know who you are, to know what you are, to know where you are, you need to know where you came from. You need to acknowledge that we are not a tabula rasa. We are not a blank slate. We are not floating in the middle of no history. There was a history. If the more we know that history, we know it well, which includes going back all the way to Abraham, all the way to the Exodus, all the way to our exile, all the way to our return to the land of Israel today, all the way to our particular story, your father, your mother, your background, your grandparents. That is the story from which you can tell your Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not about just saying how great it is right now. Thanksgiving is about appreciating where you came from, who you came from, and what brought you to where you are today. Thank you for joining us here at the Baron Hirsch Congregation for a discussion of Parsha Tavo. Join us for each discussion of the holidays and the Parsha. And thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.